So today we are here with Adam Navarro with Toe to Toe Boxing in Kaiser. How did you get into boxing yourself, and how did it turn into you teaching boxing?
Yeah, great question. Boxing's always been a passion of mine, always, ever since I was a little kid. But I grew up in such a small town, North Idaho, that it was not around. It was not available. So I did Kempo, I did Taekwondo, I did kind of anything I could to fill that void, but it never did, never filled the void. And then when I was in the military, I got stationed in Boise, so just
Yeah.
outside of Boise at Mountain Home Air Force Base. And when I was done there, or when I was down there, I found a boxing gym, and I immediately, jumped on it.
What
And
is it about boxing specifically
uh,
that is like draws you? Because you mentioned you did Kempo and all the like
yeah,
martial arts uh, things, but I mean, what about boxing was the thing, the hook for you?
it's such a sport where it challenges you in ways like you just wouldn't believe. Like, and it pushes you. You have to kind of overcome fear. You have to have a lot of self-discipline. You're pushing yourself to just be better, be healthier, be stronger, be faster. And I loved sports. I did basketball and track growing up. And I just love sports, and I love the combat side. When I was a kid, Bruce Lee was my ultimate idol, right? Like
I think
Bruce
that
Lee,
was every
Chuck
kid's
Norris.
idol.
Oh, absolutely. If it wasn't Puncharella from Chips, it was Bruce Lee, and.
You're
Um,
dating yourself
I
there,
know,
bud.
I know, totally. Yeah, you can delete that. But yeah, no, and so it's just kind of like the combat side, but the sweet science side of it.
Yeah.
It's very calculated. When you get into boxing, there's so many things that you do for a reason. Like, I'm going to throw these punches because I'm trying to get this. So it's a setup. It's a chess game. It's kind of a combination of all things, but it's you.
Yeah.
It's on you.
So it's almost
So
like you're fighting yourself a little bit as
very
much as you're
much,
fighting your opponent.
very much.
Because
Yeah.
you mentioned like some of these other contact sports is very like tactical as far as they have better maybe technique and they got the point, but with boxing, I mean, it's your stamina and
Oh.
your highs and lows of going through rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just encompasses everything. And again, it's just like, it's so amazing to watch. And, I felt that way. And then
You
just
just feel alive
yeah,
out
just
there.
the
Yeah.
build up and like I said, it's the fear, the excitement, the anxiety, the stress. I mean, all of it. And when you overcome that, when you conquer that, or you're able to do that, or you just train for it, yeah, you start to get a lot more. You build your self confidence, which is one of the key things that we really hone in on in our gym. So
So your gym, that one of the tag phrases is it's a boxing gym for anyone.
absolutely, yeah.
I like that.
I was coaching at several gyms. I've coached at several different gyms in my past, and I always knew I wanted to do it a different way, because when you going into a competitive gym is very almost unwelcoming, very intimidating.
Mhm.
99.9% of the people just won't do it, right? If they're curious about boxing, they're not going to walk into that competitive gym, and even if they do, they're not going to get any attention. Why? The coaches are focused on their fighters,
Yeah.
right? Which I totally get. Like, that's how they should be. But I love the sport so much, and I just wanted to introduce it because it's a sport where it's like, man, you can just really overcome a lot of fear. You can build out that self-confidence. You can get in better shape. You can have some fun. It can be loud. It can be crazy.
It's like all encompassing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I always knew I wanted a gym that was just like, hey, anybody walk in. Just come in, just try it. Just an introduction to the sport. And that's what I always wanted. Just introduce more people to the sport of boxing.
What was it like the first time you walked into a gym?
I was nervous.
Oh, yeah?
I knew like,
Did
oh,
you have to
man.
like work up to get to like walking in the door?
No,
or
I knew I like, hey, because I've always wanted to, go into this gym and, or go into a boxing gym and just compete and just be part of the training. But like, I knew nothing, and, I didn't want to, embarrass myself. I didn't want to, come across as somebody who doesn't know anything. And
Mhm.
I mean, I was just a little intimidated and nervous, but I was so like hell bent on like, that's what I want. I'm so excited. I want to train. I want to educate myself. So yeah, I just absolutely stepped in, but yeah, there's no doubt I was nervous.
So like when you went in, were you thinking, I'm going to go in I just want to try this out, or I want to be able to compete?
Yeah, and that was my goal, is like, I want to learn the sport find out what it takes to compete and then do it. That was absolutely my goal.
And did you go like semi-pro, or were you doing like amateur boxing matches?
So that's a great point, because there's definitely a huge difference between amateur boxing and professional boxing. So amateur boxing, that's the way our kids, that's how they can get to the Olympics. That's how they build up and get to the Olympics. It's all done through USA Boxing, so everything's sanctioned. There's a lot of rules. That's when you see headgear on boxers. Very safe is probably not the right word. It's very more cautious, and it's all about points, touches, points. That's amateur boxing. So anytime you see a boxing match where they're not wearing headgear, now you're like, okay, I'm watching professional boxing.
Like a Mike Tyson type.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just wanted to just do amateur boxing. That's what I wanted to train to do. I got into it when I was a little bit older, like I said. So it wasn't until I was older when I was able to start training enough to compete. And then what I found was I was playing a lot of soccer at the time. And as I trained for my fights and got ready for my fights, I was so happy with my training and my everything, my sparring, everything was great. But then there would be times where I didn't get a fight. So just because you say you want to fight, you don't always get fights. I put in all my boxers. I have, 14 on our boxing team. And I put in, when a fight comes around, or we know we're going to go to Seattle or Portland or wherever to fight, I put in all 14 and maybe 2, 3, 5, get the fight. So you never know if you're going to get the fight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like up to the day or up to the hour?
No, you generally know a week or two before.
Okay.
And
they don't give you a lot of time to train.
Yeah.
You're training.
You always got to be ready.
ready.
Yeah, always got to be ready.
So is there something that disqualifies people, or it's just kind of luck of the
No,
draw?
it's you have to fall into the same weight category. There's like a pound difference that you have to be within, and then there's also an experience difference. So you generally don't want to take a first time boxer and put him against somebody, even if they're the same weight, somebody who has 8, 9, 10 fights. It's just far too much experience, right? You're not setting them up for success. So you have what's called sub-novice, is anywhere from like 0 to 4 fights. Novice is like that 5 to 9 fights. And then an open amateur boxer is you have 10 or more fights, and generally you're saying, hey, I'm willing to kind of fight anybody. So it's like, when you put in and say, hey, you know what, I'm Brian, I want to fight. I'm, 125 pounds soaking wet, and I have zero, zero experience. Exactly. Then the matchmaker is like, hopefully somebody else puts in a boxer that's the same age, same weight, or, so there's just a lot that goes in on the back end. And it's kind of hard for some of these kids. They train, and they don't get fights. And you really gotta help keep them motivated and help them, get through that. So, and that was kind of my shoes. Like I put in for fights, where my coach would put in for fights for me all the time. Nope. And
is it like, it's almost like horse trading? Like, I'm afraid he's going to lose, or I'm afraid they're going to win, or they're not high enough on the brackets to where I want to put him in there against him. Like, is that how it is, or it's just like just luck of the draw?
As far as setting them up versus not setting them up,
yeah.
When you decide, because there'll definitely be times where a matchmaker will reach out to me and say, hey, I got a possibility for your guy, but this guy's got 6, 7, 8 fights. Your guy has 0 or 1 or something like that. And then that's where the coach's like, okay, you got to know your boxer.
Because if you lose the guy that has no experience, it probably doesn't help your rankings then.
So in amateur boxing, not until you get through nationals and stuff do you become kind of ranked.
Okay.
And really, honestly, like at the end of the day, as an amateur boxer, your record, it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter, because you can be 0-50, and then you're like, hey, my goal is to go pro. And that's all that matters. When you turn pro, my record is 0-0, and here I go.
Okay.
And there's definitely different
It's like
styles.
it restarts the whole thing.
Yeah. They consider all training up to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Consider amateur boxing as a stepping stone for becoming a pro boxer. And a lot of people do it just to kind of check a box, like to knock something off their bucket list, or just to train and, just whatever.
What happens if they're, I've always wondered this. So, like, there's a weight category, and you said it's within a 1 pound difference.
It's usually, depending on the age and weight, it's usually they have to be within 7 pounds.
Oh, I thought you said 1 pound. Sorry about that.
6 or 7 pounds.
Okay,
And
I was like,
as
what
they
happens if you
up
go
in weight,
up?
yeah, as they go up
I
in
had a
weight,
big dinner last night. It's like, I'm out.
as they go up in weight, you can be almost up to 15 pounds difference.
Okay.
Now, coaches won't like that, but USA Boxing would allow that to be
15
a match
pounds
bout.
can make a really big
Huge
difference too. Yeah.
Huge difference, yeah.
It looks like you got one of your students on. It says, Young just says, thanks for having Coach Adam on. So he's watching you.
Nice. All right. Good. I love that.
So going back to the kind of the theme of the gym is a boxing gym for everybody. You don't have to go in there and get punched in the face.
No, absolutely
You
not.
have to go in there and get punched.
I think that's probably
that would like disqualify me if I.
that's probably like if you thought about a boxing gym, like, ooh, I don't want to go in there and do that, but you don't have to. You have other classes,
absolutely.
Right?
No, absolutely. All of our classes are geared towards, and we get that question a lot from parents. When they call and what's it like? And is my child going to get punched in the face and beat up and like thrown in right away? And it's just the opposite. So we use boxing as the backbone to all we want to do is have them become active and have better fitness. Yeah. And so we really teach fitness, agility, strength, conditioning far more than anything, but we use boxing as the base. Okay. So throughout the whole process of doing more agility drills and strength drills and conditioning drills and cardio drills, like every part of that we're doing has a boxing base to it. So they're absolutely learning the boxing skills, but for me, it's far more important that they just be healthier, that they learn how to exercise. That translates a lot more to success down the road, to more self-confidence, to just one of the barriers, in my opinion, for kids not being active, not working out is they don't know how. Right. And they're going to be intimidated. They don't want to go into a gym and not know what to do, not know how to exercise, not know what's that band for, or how do I use these TRX band, whatever, slam balls. And we absolutely teach them. My coaching staff is phenomenal. And they just care. But our whole purpose is, we're going to teach them boxing, but we want them to live a healthier lifestyle.
How many coaches do you have?
I have basically one full-time coach, and then 3 other coaches that are more part-time. One of them, pro boxer, pro MMA fighter. He focuses on the boxing team at night. My head coach, Sarah, he is phenomenal with kids. Great boxer himself. And he coaches. He's the head coach for every single one of our classes. And then we have a female coach, 2 female coaches, and then another guy that helps out as well. So.
Have any of your coaches ever gone pro? Or are they all staying amateur?
My head coach, Sarah, he's about ready to have his first bout. It looks like January, his first pro bout. So
cool.
Yeah, so he's a big
Are you gonna have like a
guy.
watch party sort of thing?
Oh my goodness, yeah. And it's gonna be in Salem towards the end of January.
It's gonna be in Salem?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that at?
He didn't tell me. The matchmaker hadn't said yet. I'm sure it'll probably be at the fairgrounds.
Oh, the Armory.
But don't quote me on that.
Okay.
It'll be his pro debut, and he's got a following at our gym. Like the kids love him, the parents love him, and when you meet him, he's just this short, stocky Samoan who can't get hurt by anything, and he punches like a ton of bricks. So we're going to be very excited for him to make his pro debut.
And that's the end of January?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, you got good Google reviews, and your Google reviews match what the theme of your gym is, because a lot of people were commenting on the Google reviews that I didn't know what to expect when I walked in. I thought it was going to be one thing, and it was actually another as far as their perception of a boxing gym. And so there's a lot of reviews from parents bringing their kids in. And one thing I noticed that you mentioned a nonprofit aspect to the gym. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We just started, my wife and I, we have a very strong passion for nonprofits, but just helping the community and doing what we can. And so we used to just, me and the coaches and my wife, we just volunteer our time, the equipment, like everything. And we just try and do free clinics for youth with disabilities, or we did a fun exercise, a fun camp kind of for the homeless teens program, and just working with all sorts of different programs. And we used to just constantly just donate free. We were never going to charge them. And I said, I can't keep doing this, and so my wife, again, she owns her own grant writing company, and so she just started, writing grants for us to help be able to offer more programs, and so we've been able to do those, and actually I can pay my coaches a little bit. I provide gloves. We put kids on scholarship when somebody comes into the gym and they can't afford it, and I know they can't afford it. I just don't even worry about it. We'll put you on scholarship. We've got the funds. I'll give you gloves. I'll give you wraps. And then away they go. So it's definitely a mixed bag between programs on the nonprofit side and then just the scholarship side of like, hey, you know what? You can't afford it. Don't let that be a barrier. Just get in here. Start making better, decisions for you as a person.
Do people come in and like apply to be on the scholarship program, or is it just on a case-by-case basis as you're building a relationship with them?
Yeah, it's case-by-case basis. Generally, the parents will reach out to me ahead of time and just ask if we have anything like that. And so, it usually comes up pretty quickly. And so, but we work with a lot of parole officers. All those kids are put on scholarship right away. Foster program, like foster youth, homeless youth, across the board. When somebody comes to us, and a lot of times it's maybe it is their parole officer, or maybe it's somebody else who's outside the family looking out for the kiddo, comes and says, hey, they're making bad decisions, but how do I get them in here? Mom can't afford it. Yeah, exactly. So
give them a purpose.
Yep.
So what is it about the boxing gym? I mean, I know you're not a therapist.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, you're not a therapist, but the therapy aspect of someone coming in and a kid or something that's maybe having some issues outside of the boxing ring. What is it about a boxing gym that kind of helps them a little bit?
There's definitely a couple key things that are no-brainers that's every single time it checks this box, and it's they overcome something that they didn't know they can do. So it's like, wow, I had no idea I could punch. I had no idea. And we used to find that more when I first started in just the female crowd. They're like, I didn't know I could put boxing gloves on and do combos and do mitts and fun stuff. But then these kids come in and maybe they're overweight. Maybe they're very just, to themselves. They keep to themselves and they're quiet and they're
like
just
confidence type issues.
I have a lot of kids that come in and they don't look up. They just look down the whole time because they just don't have the self-confidence, but give me 4 weeks, and they just start having fun. We play loud music and they just find out like, okay, I can do this. Like I've overcome an obstacle, something I've tried something new. I'm getting fit. Like I feel good. So there's that aspect. And then it's our coaches. Our coaches don't care about your background. They don't care about your weight. They don't care about your looks. They don't care about your size. We've got teens that are like 3 feet tall, and then we've got teens and kids that are 8 feet tall. I mean, that's totally exaggerating, but it's across
just runs
the board.
The gamut.
Yeah. And we don't care. Like we treat everyone the same. We like for them to just have some fun and just learn the sport, get healthy, and just have some fun. So it's those, when you mix those together, they're just like, okay, this is good for me. Like I like this.
So it's almost like a family type aspect that you're trying to bring into it a little bit.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah.
And I notice it's not just the boxing part. You have classes, different types of classes that run throughout the day or throughout the week.
Yep. All of our classes pretty much start at 5 p.m. So it's their evening classes, but I break them up into age groups because we like to push the age groups certain level, and we also like to play different music for the kids. So a lot of the teens
like
don't
you just tailor it a little bit to the different.
They don't like the teens don't like Kids Bop so much,
Gotcha.
But no, it really helps our coaches be able to push the kids. So the 4, 5, 6 year olds, we start at age 4. 4, 5, 6 year olds, it's much more of agility and activity and fun, and we tie in a lot of games and. But every game that we tie in is they're working their head movement, they're working their motion and their slips and their punches, and then as it goes up, we have the 7 to 12 year olds, and again we push them a little bit harder. We expect a little bit more from them, and then the teens, we're on them pretty good. We crank the music, we're having fun, we're going, but we're grinding. and then that's kind of the same way for the adults. So, but yeah, it's nice to have those classes and the separation, and because people they come, and we have very like old members. I think our oldest member is 74, and obviously our youngest member is 4, and everything in between. And yeah, they just kind of feel kind of at home, and they're very, very
like a big hug
comfortable.
when they walk in.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Yeah.
So they could come in to like say, I'm just gonna take a cardio class, and then months later, like, I'm ready to get punched.
I'm ready to get.
And so do you
That's
see
quite a
that
jump.
Do you see that like kind of scaling up with some people?
Yeah, so the way that I did that to tackle that is we're on a 5-week block. Our training block is 5 weeks. So we do strength and conditioning week 1, and then we do technique week 2. Back to strength and conditioning week 3, technique week 4, and then week 5 is our sparring week. And our sparring week is they're sparring the coaches, and it's a total buildup. So it's for somebody who's brand new, it's their first time sparring. I like for them to have the feel of the headgear on. Like, this is what headgear feels like. Coach has got the headgear on and everything, and they're just sparring the coach. And the coach is basically just a moving target. Like, hey, you light me up, you treat me like a bag. But it's just like, put everything that you've learned these last couple of weeks or whenever you started, and just put it into play. And you'll see how important your footwork is. You'll see how important your cardio is. Like, you can't
Your
go
stamina,
2 minutes.
yeah.
They're 2-minute rounds, and people are gassed. Some people are jump outside and throw up. Like, it just takes a lot, and they realize that, and like, I got to work more. To be able to go 2-minute round, 2, 3 2-minute rounds, I got to put in the work. But we absolutely build them up. And so we're a moving target first. And then once they start to get a little bit more of a feel, when their hands are down, they have light taps coming back at them, so they're like, okay, I see it. And we just build them up. So then they have a lot and they never have to spar if they don't want to, but it's like, at the very least, everybody's always like, yeah, if coach is going to be a moving target for me, I'm in. This is what the headgear feels like. We have a couple folks that do it that way, but for the most part, they love the progression. They love like, ooh, I learned that. I learned that combo. I learned this technique. I'm going to put it into play in my sparring. And again, they overcome this like, wow, I just accomplished that. I just did that. I didn't know I could. I can take a punch. Wow, and people love that. When they find out like, all right, I kind of got a job, they feel, a little good. They feel pretty good. So
it's a real confidence builder, especially for kids, when they're not sure about themselves, their bodies, and then as they're growing, it's like, what can I do? What can I do?
Yep.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, it is. So it works really good for us.
I think one of the cool things is watching you as you're talking about it, all of a sudden you start lighting up. And when you start talking about like the progression of the program, all of a sudden like your face lights up. So I have to imagine that excitement just like translates to everybody that walks in too. When I think of like walking into a gym, just not knowing anything, I think of like $1 Million Baby or Girl Fight or like Rocky or any of those sort of things.
It's like the back east, those type of gyms where it's like you go there and you train to fight.
There's like some old guy that's like in the corner.
Yes, absolutely. So our gym's perfect. I'd love for you guys to come down at some point and just check it out. Yeah, cool. We have some good equipment. We have the smallest competitive boxing ring that we can have, which is a 20x20. And we just got some good stuff in there.
Are there a lot of boxing rings in Salem?
There's not.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw one that was empty for a long time. I'm not sure if it's even still there. There was like downtown.
Yeah.
So I used to coach there. It was called Church Street Boxing. Yeah. It's right downtown, the corner of Church Street. Yep. And so that's where I was coaching. And they closed when COVID hit. Yeah. Mark, great guy. He was a pastor, so it was a part church. And then the boxing side. So that's where I coached. And then when COVID stopped, like I was going every night. Parents were like, "Hey, can you come just coach my kids in the garage?"
You were coming to their homes?
Oh yeah. And so every night, and that's I was like, go house to this night I'd go to this house, this night I'd go to that house, and just doing that little circuit. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Was this your full-time job doing that?
No, this is just my passion. I have a full-time job.
You have a full-time job outside of this?
Yes, yeah.
What is that?
I work for Life Fitness. They're a manufacturing of health and fitness equipment.
Okay, so it all ties in.
Yeah. So, and so that's what I was doing in the evenings, just running around garage to garage when we closed. And then I was like, I can't. And my wife's like, go do your thing. Go. You talk about it all the time. You know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And blah, blah, blah. So yeah.
So what, I mean, I know you getting into boxing was kind of like a passion of yours. What was that transition to? I want to open up my own gym. I want to teach people.
Yeah, it was really like my love for the sport, and then it was just knowing that people don't want to come into a competitive. They're just very nervous about coming. Very intimidated about coming into a competitive gym. And I totally get it. If somebody just is curious about the sport, or they're like, man, I wish I could just learn how to punch. You know, I don't want to ever compete. I just want to learn how to punch and see if I can do this. And competitive boxing gym's not the place, you know? And so it's like, okay, well, what is the place? And so, I mean, I knew that from early get-go when I was training to compete, but I kind of started to fall more coaching. I've always kind of had my hand in like coaching youth sports, whether it be gymnastics or football or what have you, but I just loved coaching kids. And so when I was in the gym training for my fights, like the kids I know, like they need mitts, they need mitt work, they need this, they need that. So, let me just help you a little bit, you know? And then I just started helping more and more and more. And my training was going that way, and I was helping the kids more and more. And I was like, I love this. This is great. You know, this was filling my cup more than my training. So, yeah.
With boxing, there's no pinnacle. There's like this. This is the best I'm going to be at this point. There's always room for improvement.
Always, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you're always setting new goals, new standards, and just holding yourself accountable, and just pushing yourself, to be better. So, yeah.
So if someone is like is going to come into the gym, it's like, how do I get started?
Yeah, so the first thing that we do is I make everyone just do a free trial class. Just come try a class. I want you to fully try a class so you know, do I like it? Do I not? Do I like the coaches? Do I like the environment? Do I like how much fitness and whatnot that they're doing? Am I willing to grind that much? And, you know, it's just come try it. So every single person that before they get a membership, that's the first thing that they have to do is just come try a class. It's free. Just come try it. And then they get to I want you to go home, think about it, and decide like, hey, do I want to be a part of that? Do I want to, you know, come work out that way? Do I want to push myself in that way? And 99.9% of the time, it's yes.
Because they get in there and they just have fun. Like, yes, I want to do it. Yeah.
Pretty much everyone. Yeah, pretty much everyone.
You're like, once I get them in the door, like.
Well, they see like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be that way, you know. And sometimes even people first time when we're doing our strength and conditioning weeks, like it's not easy, you know, and it's a grind and it's tough, and they're doing a lot of things that they probably have never done before, slam balls, shuffles, ladders, and, you know, and it's just like, oh, wow. Okay. You know, this is different, but I'm in. So, again, it goes back to creating that environment, and it goes back to your coaches caring. Yeah.
So it's also interesting because, when someone joins a gym, it's like, this is my gym. This is all I go to. But your gym's a little bit different. They can have their gym to do their normal training, and they can mix it up by going, well, I'm going to do boxing tonight. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. So it's a kind of a nice another thing in their toolbox they can use to kind of keep their fitness up and get their growth in.
Absolutely, and we totally encourage that. Like, hey, go find a gym where you can start to lift weights and learn that kind of stuff. And but that's around the corner for us, so super excited. But, we'll be bringing that at some point here. We just got to get a different building. But,
very cool. So where are you guys located at right now? You're in Kaiser.
We are. So we're right off River Road. If you know where the Chamber of Commerce is, we're right there. I always tell people it's like Baskin Robbins is right behind us, and that Thai place, everybody wonders, is that a house? What is that?
Yeah.
You know? Apparently they have the best. Apparently they have the best Thai food around. So we're just sandwiched right between the two. But yeah, right where the Chamber of Commerce is.
Okay. So you mentioned possible growth. So what is that going to look like for you guys?
We've got big goals. Again, my wife's been trying to work and get us grants, and so we've been pretty fortunate. Plus, we have a lot of members that like to sponsor and help and whatnot. So we're looking for a new building right now. Right now, I'm sitting on 3,000 square feet. I need at least minimum of 5,000 square feet.
Wow.
But we will absolutely transition a little bit more into educating the kids on how to exercise, how to work out, and it'll be primarily free. It'll be the nonprofit side, so very much a little bit heavier on the nonprofit side as far as our growth goes.
Yeah.
So that, and I'll have, a personal trainer over there at all times to just educate and teach kids. I really, really want to break down the barriers of kids not knowing how to exercise, not knowing how to work out, not knowing like, okay, I don't want to go to a gym because I don't know how to use the equipment, and they're too scared to ask for help. And, like, okay, well then just come in, we'll show you, like, whether you stay here or not, or, just go down and get a membership somewhere, but let us educate you and show you how to just work out.
Well, kids are missing that in school. I mean,
I don't think gyms were like a big thing when we were younger either. Too.
So when I was in grade school, when I would go to the gym, it was like, we're going to teach you how to line dance. I mean,
are you talking about like gym at like
school?
school?
At the school. I mean, it's like they're not teaching kids like fitness. They're teaching them we're going to keep you busy
sport
for a little bit and then send you back to the class. So having that after school type of program where kids can actually learn real fitness, is something that I think people need.
Absolutely. And study after study shows what it does for them down the road, what it does for their self-confidence, what it does for, just
mental clarity.
Yeah, exactly. And so we just kind of want to help with all that, and we're going to do it by way of showing them, fitness and teaching them just better health.
And they can get their homework done too.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys will help with homework? Really?
We are going to have tutors on site.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Seriously?
You think I just
I thought you were just like, hey, you're going to help my kid with their homework. And I didn't know you were actually doing that. Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's, we not only want to help them with the health and fitness side, but just the importance of just graduating high school. Just, get through, play the game. I get it. You probably don't like it. I didn't like it either, but play the game. Finish it, and that way you can be done and move on to whatever. It's we will have a study area in the new building, and we'll have certain times, obviously, and this is our business plan that we have, but we'll have tutors on site so you can come get your homework done, learn how to work out. Oh, by the way, I also what should I be eating? How can
That's
I better?
Incredible.
Yeah. So just all around,
Do you have a location in mind that you want to be at, or?
Not yet. We found some there that we love, but there's no parking. And then we found some with all this parking in the world, but the building just needs a lot of work or is really beat up. So we haven't found that one yet. But we're on the hunt.
So are you planning on staying in Kaiser, or you want to move out to kind of our location so we can send our kids there?
Yeah,
my
goal. I'm doing everything I can to keep the business, keep everything in Kaiser.
Okay.
That's my goal.
It's tough because we have a base of people already that go to your gym. It's like I don't want to move too far.
Yeah.
And then they're having to drive farther than
we have a lot of people come from South Salem, West Salem, from Woodburn, so
you just need more locations is what you say.
Yeah. If I can clone myself
this building's 3,000,
my coaches.
This one's 5,000.
Yeah, exactly. But the no, it's I'm doing what I can to keep it in Kaiser because I really want to bolster that community. And I don't know that'll happen. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have to take when the building comes around. It's so hard to find when that right building comes around. I'm going to have to jump on it.
Yeah.
So what's your ideal building look like?
An open shell.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
So
Industrial warehouse type.
Basically an open shell with one classroom and bathrooms.
Got it.
Yeah.
Bathrooms are important.
Yeah. Because we'll have turf, we'll have the boxing area, we'll have the fitness equipment area, but I want that classroom for study and the tutor and just different stuff like that. So
what kind of equipment investment are people that are coming in going to need to make?
The only thing that they need gloves and wraps,
Okay.
gloves and hand wraps. And again, if when they can't do it, we'll put them on our scholarship. We'll take over and do that for them. But gloves and wraps, and that equipment will last them probably the rest of their life. So it's a $40-$50 investment on their part as far as equipment goes. It'll last them forever.
Just wash them every once in a while.
Yes, please.
Can businesses come in and sponsor kids?
Absolutely.
Can they? Do you have that kind of program set up for them? Okay.
We do. We have a lot. What's funny is we have a lot of members that are very successful that have their own business or this and that, but and they are so first in line to sponsor, to help, to support, and they don't want any accolades. They don't want any mention. They don't want hey, we see what you're doing. This is for the kids. We got some tremendous members.
That's
it's
amazing.
Unbelievable how much support our little gym gets. It's crazy. My wife and I talk about it all the time. I remember when I first opened the gym, I told my wife, oh, it's a dream. If I could just get 40 members, just 40 members, and that'll kind of, I won't be losing so much money,
Yeah.
And I think we had 40 members within the first 2 weeks.
How many do you have now?
I think we have right about 250, maybe just
Wow.
north.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like half a Kaiser right there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it was a true blessing, but it all comes back to like, when you care and you have that kind of environment, word of mouth, and just, people want to be a part of it, which is great.
What about your boxers that are actually training to, what kind of costs are involved with them to, kind of get into that as far as like signing up for like any tournaments or?
So that's a great question because it's different. So once they come to me and say, hey coach, I really want to be on the competitive team. I want to compete. I kind of put them through the ringer a little bit because my first response is always like, no, you don't. You don't want to get up and do sprints and go for a run when it's pouring down rain. You don't want to get up at 5 a.m. when all your friends are still sleeping and, you just got done playing video games until 1 a.m. the night before and run. You don't want to train on the weekends. You don't want to stay here until 10 o'clock at night and train and coach. You just don't want to do it. And they're like, no, I make them say, yeah, that's really what I want to do. And then I say, okay, I'll put you on a two week trial, and I want you to text me when you're running. I want you to text me when you get up and you go running. I want you to text me when you're doing sprints. I want you to show up to the team sprints. I want you to be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, and then Thursday night for sparring. I mean, just I put them through the gamut because when it comes to the cost, I don't the competitive team. I don't make them pay anything. I pick it up on my end, and I just want them to focus on that, not worry about that. And honestly, most of the kids that are on the competitive team, they couldn't afford it anyway,
So you just remove those barriers.
Yeah. And so I don't want that to be a stress for them or their families. And then we use sponsorship money and grant money to help take them to their events and stuff. So we do fundraisers when we can. And so, for them on the competitive side, no cost, but I make them really commit to time.
Those people I see running down the road and they stop the stoplights and they're shadow boxing, they might be one of yours.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it's good that they're getting that shadow boxing in there on the break. So, yeah.
Very cool. So how do we support you guys as far as getting the word out, or
how do people find you? First off,
so I mean, on social media, we're big on Instagram. I go to Instagram first and foremost, and then we have our website, and then it's just kind of word of mouth, So when people want to look us up, I always just say, hey, my first question is always, are you on Instagram? Like you can kind of find us there, but go to our website. It's got more information on like the memberships and the class schedule and what that looks like. We're hitting that point where we're pretty much at to capacity for almost every class. So the waiting lists are going to start coming. But as far as support, I mean, just, keep encouraging kids to work out and stay active in any way they can. I don't care if it's our gym or not our gym, but like just, hey, work out, and if you have questions about it, just, these guys over here in Kaiser, this boxing gym, they're really good about health and fitness in general. You can approach them. It's, other than that, if you guys see us, putting out for sponsorships, we would love, to put out there, hey, any businesses looking to support local youth and activity and fitness and health, reach out to Coach Adam. He's got some fun sponsorship stuff. And then, and then we put on our events. I'll be sure to let you guys know.
What kind of events do you guys have? Is it like community type events?
Yeah. So we kind of have two main ones that we do to help raise money. I do what I call, we call them in-house tournaments. So it's just like, hey, any of our members, any of them at all, they don't have to be USA Boxing certified, but we just do a little in-house tournament, like a mock tournament.
So if someone's got a beef with someone else.
Yeah, exactly. But I like to put them through the feel of this is what it feels like to compete. So they can kind of tell their friends and family, hey, if you guys want to see, what I've been doing, come watch me. Cool. And I match them up, but we match up I 100% match up to skill. I throw weight, size, all that out the window. It could be male versus female. It's just whatever's going to skill-wise make a good match. We do it. and fair, but it's judged, it's ref, there's a winner, there's a loser, we have tears, we have blood, we have just kind of everything. So we do that in-house tournament generally twice a year, and then we do one USA Boxing Sanction event each year. We didn't get to do one this year because I was just doing a lot of traveling and we were gone with the team quite a bit. But we're looking for a date in the early spring for next year to kick off and do our first one. So or for next year.
What's the capacity of your place where you can host these events?
So we had, what's the right answer? So the right answer is probably 80-ish, well, I take that back. We put out about 130 chairs,
Yeah.
When we do like an in-house tournament.
It's like 200 then, right?
Yeah.
Just double that.
When we did our USA Boxing event at our location, we had people standing shoulder to shoulder outside on the windows, like on people's shoulder. I mean, it was packed.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of
Need
fun.
to put like TVs outside so people can watch it.
I was just praying that nobody came by, like no authority came by, no fire marshal. Yeah, hey, what's going on? Yeah. But now when we do the in-house tournaments there, I can't hold a USA Boxing event there. It's just too small.
Yeah.
But your next place will be like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. So yeah, we'll be able to do that anytime. So
It's exciting stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a lot of fun talking with you guys, and I appreciate just asking and being so open to just the youth and the health and the fitness side, and just asking questions, because a lot of times people just need to hear it. Parents need to know it's available, and youth just need to know, like, oh, you know what, there is an outlet for me. So yeah.
Amazing.
So everybody sees this, they can get a hold of you through your website, toe-to-toe-boxing.com.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And that's toe, the number 2, toe,
Okay.
toe-to-toe-boxing.com. Yep.
And we'll put all the links on the description of the on the podcast too. So toe-to-toe boxing, Facebook. You got Facebook.
So our Facebook's kind of weird because
everybody always says that.
Ours is too.
Things get posted there, but I think it was 2 years ago, somebody took over that account. Like they hacked that account, and I couldn't get it back. And so it's still active, but I can't log into that account and post like. So if it sometimes
you're the second person that's doing this. They have an issue with their Facebook account. Like either they can't get into it because they don't have the password.
Yeah, I think one of them
I got locked out because it got hacked and taken over. But it's like that now that person can't, whoever hacked it, they can't post on it. But like if somebody messaged me on Facebook, I can never get it.
Like a disgruntled employee can take over your Facebook account.
I can't delete it. There's no way for me to log into it.
So if anybody knows how to fix a Facebook account that you once had access to.
Yeah. So that's kind of funny. That's why I don't bring up Facebook much. But
so how do we find you on Instagram then?
It's just toe-to-toe boxing Kaiser.
Okay.
And you guys do some live events too. I've seen. I happened to be around when you guys just did a live event for one of the boxing matches. So.
We do. So when we travel or we go to a boxing event with our competitive fighters, I try and go live. Mm-hmm. Whoever's in the crowd, or just if we had a teammate, if we have teammates there, I'll just have them go live on Instagram so that our members and the parents, and because people really cheer. Again, we have a great tight community. It's a lot of support in our gym, and so they want to watch. Like, how's that boxer doing? And so yeah.
So some random person just put, "Ooh, looking cute, coach," named Just Look for Grants.
Just Look Left. Oh yeah.
Who could that be?
That's my hot wife.
Yeah.
Just Look Left Grant.
Yeah. She's amazing. So
awesome. Does she box too?
She does. She goes to the classes. And so she's she's pretty active as well. She's sometimes her business side pulls her away from class from time to time, but she tries to get out there as much as she can. So
it's probably great if you have a really tough day at work to go and just
blow off some steam.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
awesome. Well, appreciate you coming in.
All right,
it's great meeting you.
Really good to meet you as well. And again, thank you so much. I appreciate the time and just the platform.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.